Hello and welcome to the Flourishing Introvert Talks with me, 𝗳𝗲𝗄𝗏. This is the podcast that celebrates the natural gifts of introverts so that we can flourish in all situations. Episode 306, The Plague of Short-Term-ism. With all of the madness going on in the world, our focus on now and the immediate future is somewhat understandable, but it comes at a cost, especially for we introverts. Short-termism has quietly slipped into the fabric of our lives, convincing us that there's no point thinking about the long term. After all, who knows what the future will bring? Yet for me and my introverted clients, understanding the bigger picture and the longer term agenda is particularly important. If we don't have that, everything can seem a bit shallow and pointless. It gets worse when we realise that some people even try to tell us that we're wasting our time by thinking too far ahead. Listeners, they are missing the point, but it is a delicate balancing act. More on that later. We can't have missed how short-termism now hides in plain sight in our calendars, our inboxes and our conversations, both business and personal. We're mesmerised by every ping, like and small win, reinforcing that the only thing that matters is now. And I don't need to tell you how draining and potentially destabilising that is for we introverts. We seem to be surrounded by people who crave to be overnight successes, but who are disheartened when it doesn't happen. It rarely happens, is the truth. Some live for instant gratification and the next dopamine hit. It's exhausting, it's disorientating. It takes our focus away from what really matters and has us pinging around like a pinball, jumping from one shiny object to the next, mistaking movement for meaningful action. That is not a good strategy. One of my clients authored an article about whether the 5-year business plan is dead. And I have to tell you, that brought me up short. I know things are uncertain and volatile at the moment, but without the guiding light of the longer-term intentions, we are more at the whim of the prevailing wind and are likely to be blown from pillar to post with no clear direction. So the purpose of this episode is not to suggest you retreat, but that you reorientate yourself. It's an invitation to pause long enough to hear what the noise and unfocused activity has been masking. It's only then that we can see and hear and feel what is really calling us in. With our quiet, reflective nature, we were never designed to live at the mercy of unbridled urgency. One of the problems with short-termism is that we lose perspective, so everything tends to become more urgent. And in that kind of culture, speed, availability, and immediate responses are rewarded. This is another example of the bias in action. It pulls us away from our natural preference for deep, considered thinking that leads to sound decisions. It also pulls us away from robust problem solving that addresses the root cause rather than the presenting issue. And when we're in the grip of the bias, we're pushed and pulled into survival mode that reduces our ability to see the bigger picture and focus on our long-term perspective. The noise muffles the voice of our inner wisdom, and the haze of confusion blurs our ability to focus on what really matters. This happened to me when, during a power hour with a supposed guru, I was persuaded to make and action a plan that wasn't aligned with my desired outcome or temperament. I left feeling worse than when I arrived and even more confused, but they knew best. In moments like this, our well-being suffers and we lose our footing, so to speak. And the impact is that the world misses our steadiness that can keep humanity anchored. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one who has noticed that existing in that kind of environments means we wake braced for the day ahead. Our brain switches on immediately, our muscles tense, and we probably reach for our smartphone to see what disaster might be on the agenda for us to deal with. Feeling like we have no space to breathe is no way to start the day. Then there is the familiar tension that you feel between knowing you need to slow down, but fearing that if you do, everything will collapse. This is why I'm issuing the invitation to reorientate yourself, to focus back on your longer-term intentions or aspirations and on what really matters. This enables you to prioritise what really needs your attention now, what can wait, and what frankly is a distraction dressed up in top hat and tails. You see, the reality is, the steps you take today should not simply be for the sake of just moving and seeming busy, but in order to make progress towards our defined destination. And in order to do this, we need to learn how to tune out the cacophony of short-termism, the noise that's been muffling the call of our desired direction. There are those who mistakenly think that it's a waste of time having long-term goals, intentions, or aspirations in these messed up times we're living through. And they're only too quick to point out that somehow we failed if we need those plans to change. That perspective comes from completely misunderstanding the nature of plans and planning. I'm rather fond of the misattributed line, "If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there," that some think is from Alice in Wonderland. That line is nowhere in the book, and it's a line from a George Harrison song, but the meaning behind it is very relevant to this episode. The dialogue as found in Alice in Wonderland is as follows. "Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here?" asks Alice. "That depends a good deal on where you want to get to," said the cat. "I don't much care where," said Alice. "Then it doesn't matter which way you go," said the cat. "So long as I get somewhere," Alice added as an explanation. "Oh, you're sure to do that," said the cat, "if you only walk long enough." That, my friends, is what we're experiencing in these crazy days of short-termism. Lots of people doing stuff, but without a real focus on their individual or shared destination. So, with Alice in mind, I encourage you to think of your long-term intentions more like a journey you're planning, and in this case, the journey for a significant chapter of your life. It need not be set in stone, as we do need to be able to flex in changing times, but it gives us the ability to lift our head up and check whether the path we're on is taking us broadly in the right direction. We don't need the turn-by-turn instructions that SatNav gives us, but we do need to be able to realign or reorientate ourselves. So it feels only right that I offer you some actions to help you do just that. Not in the way that guru did during my power hour, though. These are things to do at your own pace and at a time you determine. They are collectively and individually the antidote to the noise that has been distracting you. It's always your choice as to what you implement, and if any of what I've shared so far has resonated with you, it's time to get the binoculars out and shift your focus further out. These 5 ideas will help you to do that. Number 1. Schedule in time to review and refine your long-term planning at regular intervals. Treat it with the respect it deserves as a non-negotiable because it defines your guiding star. Decisions you make today and in the near future will either be aligned or it's a nudge that maybe your longer-term plan needs revising. That's why we check in on them with some regularity. Number 2, resist the pressure to respond immediately when it's to satisfy someone's instant gratification habit. This gives you a chance to pause, to look to the horizon and to the bigger goals so that you can plan your response in a timely fashion. Number 3, Be curious and ask reflective and probing questions about the longer-term intentions that your work is contributing to. Sometimes we need to be brave enough to shake others out of their short-term mania and make your decisions about your life and career based on your life plans. And if you've not got clarity on yours, it's another reason to join the Frustrated to Flourishing journey. Number 4, be a constant observer of your own behaviour and thoughts. I saw an article recently explaining how the most emotionally intelligent people are those who think about their thinking and about their thought processes. Known as metacognition, this ability to sift through our thoughts to establish which are serving us or the situation is so much better than simply treating thoughts as a given or a fundamental truth. And finally, 5, I think it requires understanding that what we do today and tomorrow is leaving a legacy for the future, like it or not. As the Chinese proverb says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. We all share responsibility for what happens in our lifespan and to some degree beyond it. Be clear about what is yours to do. Now, let's draw some conclusions. As reflective thinkers, we introverts are wired for depth, not dizzying frenzy. So find ways to bring your wisdom to the table. When short-term urgency threatens to pull you into the shallows, stand firm and focus on the long-term picture. What you plan today may not bear fruit in your lifetime, but that doesn't mean the planting was a waste of time. It was your investment in the future you dream for all of humanity. So, take a breath with me now. A long, deep breath, the type that calms your nervous system. Then form an image, feeling, or sense of a future where the pace of life is not determined by unbridled urgency. Really notice the qualities of the future that you're experiencing in your imagination and hold that dear. This is your guiding star and the direction that shapes your decisions. As we close, make a commitment to one area of life where you will step away from the pull of urgency and instead step into intentionality this week. And make that simple commitment as often as you can. Lives will benefit because of it. If you enjoyed this episode as much as I did, then please subscribe, rate us and leave a comment, because we know that helps other people find the podcast. And if other people find us, other introverts can flourish.
You are listening to an Intentional Media Production podcast.